been en los peores huecos del mundo.
Yeah.
Y no me da pena decirlo. If you do choose this life, what you need to do is embody it, that you deliver what you say.
First thing that we think about when we say success is money.
What happens is that people believe in competition and they get scared. You gotta trust the universe, but also do the action. When you stand up to present, I was like, I saw your light all around you. I have tons of students, like more than 1,000. And I was like, oh, we're gonna do things together. Like I saw the whole thing. You are doing big things, my friend.
Hello. Welcome everybody to the Rich in Soul podcast. I'm your host, Nati Restrepo, and today I have the honor of welcoming not just someone who in the Miami community, this person has so much respect. Reputation is just such a huge thing, and this person has that. And she's a Reiki master, she's a teacher, she's a guide, she's a light. It's literally in her name. I have Luz Duque here in the Rich in Soul podcast. Not only a teacher and a mentor to so many, but most importantly, she's my teacher. And today I get the opportunity to share her with you guys. And thank you so much for being here, Luz. How are you feeling?
Hi, Nati. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm honored that you call me your teacher. I feel you are my friend. So we go beyond any labels of teachers or students. Thank you so much for creating this space and for having me. Thank you so much.
Yes, man, like when I think of you, I tell you all the time, I'm like, Luz, your reputation is like, I've never heard of such a beautiful reputation like the one that you have. And, there was moments in my life where, and I think it was like, I wrote it in my Reiki letter. When we did our graduation, when we did our Reiki master, I wrote, for me, Reiki gave me a form, como un camino. Mm-hmm. And that is how you appeared in my life too. In a moment where I thought that there was no one that I can really align with, right? It didn't fit all from a grounded perspective. I was talking with Johnny right before, and we were talking about Elon Musk, right? we were talking about him. And I was saying how he's super smart and everything, and then he's doing all these things and whatever. Politically, I don't love it, whatever, but yeah, like he's a smart man. But I was saying how I feel like he's not coming from a grounded perspective. Like he's not coming from a rooted humanitarian level. And I think sometimes when people are so smart, that tends to happen. They kind of lose track of where they are here on this earth. And I think that that's something that you do such a great job with, like coming from man, people feel so organic around you. Like you're truly working with everything that's around, like, and everything stops in that moment. Like there's a moment to just breathe and feel the animals and feel everything. And I think that that's anyone that's met you, even if someone's crossed paths with you on social media, the people feel that energetically online. But before you becoming this incredible mentor and guide and teacher, I would love, and I've heard some of your stories and stuff like that, but I would love for the world to get an opportunity to listen to who was Luz before she was my teacher. Obviously, like, Luz is Colombian.
Obviously.
And I want you guys to guess what sign Luz is. We're not going to tell them. But I'm going to say it's probably the best sign. We'll guess by the end of this interview. I want for you guys to drop in the comments, what sign do you think Luz is? But before that, I want for people to, I want to know who you were. You sent me a picture. I always ask for my guests to send me pictures of themselves when they were younger. And you sent me the cutest picture ever. And I want to know, who was Luz before she came into this world?
Wow, Nati. I was thinking and feeling that today. And at this point in time in my life, I felt like I have been so many So many women in one. That little girl that you received the picture of still lives inside of me. I have been all women in all aspects, all colors. So from the party girl to the rock and roller, I've been a heavy metal. Yes, I've been also a raver. An example, I was a single mother. I also worked for corporate. I was out of my house super early in life, like around 19 years old. I have done everything in my life, but I have always been mystical too. Really? Since little, I had that gift of feeling spirit, sensing energies, and most of all, feeling people and nature. So when we're talking a little bit before about all of this and people that are sometimes are intelligent and not grounded. And also, I think also some people that are super spiritual tend to not be grounded as well. As a little girl, I was always connected to nature and always connected to human beings. I was able to feel another person truly in my heart. And that's why I think that I do the work that I do right now, because I've been everywhere, into the darkest and also into the highest places, and coming up and down in my life made me chose this path that I'm now on, that I love, that I never thought I was going to embrace fully, but it is my mission. It is what I came to do on this earth.
Oh, it's so obvious. Like, I mean, you guys are watching this, and if you still don't understand what she does, by the end of this podcast, you're going to understand what she does. It's just like this joy and this just energy that you have that is just felt from miles away. So you said that, like, since you were little, you always felt connected with nature.
Yes, and animals.
Always mystical.
Siempre? Always to stone.
Would you
siempre,
see
siempre, siempre, to the point where I was silenced.
Really?
Yeah, don't talk about it. Please don't say that.
Yeah, me too. So, and were your parents Catholic?
I live with my grandparents. Actually, they were the ones who raised me. So when you received that picture, that was the day that I was actually, I don't want to say gifted by, but also just passed on to my grandparents. So I was dressed up to go to my grandparents' house and stay there for good. This was something that I carry heavy through a lot of my years, like you would say, like probably like a wound of abandonment. But now I see it as the best gift that I could ever get.
¿Y eran paisas tu abuela?
Sí, mi abuela. Mi abuela was totally a healer. In other terms, she was super Catholic, rezandera. But she took me everywhere. So I saw from exorcisms to healing just by prayer. She used to lay hands on people without calling it Reiki.
Yeah.
You know, she used to read or take them to church. And I got to see all of that. But I went beyond that. You know, I wanted to be a priest when I was little. And actually, I asked my grandma to take me to the church and ask the priest if I could be a priest. So he told me that women were not allowed to be priests. And I said, I don't know. And that always stayed in me. And I'm like, I think I was born to be a priest. And I think I feel that now I am a priestess.
A priestess. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
I wanted to do weddings. I wanted to baptize children. I felt that in my heart. And now I do it. Wow. And it was life that formed me. I didn't invent these things. It's not something that I look for. It was a desire in my heart. And as my life developed, then all of these gifts started coming in.
Yeah. You said that like you feel like you got that, like you're, in a sense, right, your grandmother being rezandera. My grandma was the same way. My grandma was very super Catholic too. Of course, she didn't know what she was doing. It's like I say the same thing. Like she was practicing Reiki without knowing that it was actually Reiki. Like she was predicting.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the craziest things, and I would experience really supernatural encounters with my grandmother. And when I would experience supernatural things, the only person that believed me was my grandmother.
Of course.
always, mind you, it was so funny. I was going through a video yesterday. It's also interesting. I was going through a video yesterday on my Snapchat when my grandma was still like, yeah, good. And it's a video of her showing me underneath her pillow all her saints. It's so funny. She has all her saints, like, and she kisses them each night. And I truly think that in a sense, I did inherit that. But do you think that, ese don, that gift that you have, was something that you inherited from her? Do you think so?
I think in part, yes. I felt that since I go back, like, let's say I go back to my first thought that I ever had was like, what am I doing here? Why am I alive? And I was carried by my dad. So that was the first thought that I remember. So I think, and I feel that I was born with that, and I'm carrying this from way even before my grandma. Because they all knew it. They all knew it. I was a little different.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was taken as a mental thing. Thank God they never medicated me. But they would say, please don't say anything. Please stay quiet. But I used to hear even the spirit of the animals, like when they were passed. Or I will sense when someone was going to depart, or when a person wasn't good. My body will feel a certain way. Or even in Colombia, remember back in the day with the earthquakes and all of the big earthquake that was years ago. I was probably like 8 years old. It was a phenomenal. I don't remember dates. Remember I told you before the podcast. Maybe we'll find out.
Two really bad people with dates, FYI.
But I would present all of that. I remember I was in church and I told my grandma, let's get out of here. It's gonna va a temblar. And she was like, no, please, let's stay here. Then started shaking the whole church. And the priest said, stay in the house of God. And I'm like, Grandma, we're not staying in here.
We're going to our house.
We left. I left running. She left behind me. And half of the church fell. There was a lot of damage. And she just then thanked me for taking her out of the church.
How old are you
Things
there?
like that. I don't remember. Probably 9, 10, something like that.
I think something happens at 9, right? It's like, I feel really strong memories too of when I was 9 years old. Like there was really strong predictions, or like my
apariciones.
Yes, and emotionally I felt very strong. Like I felt things a lot more intense when I was 9 years old, like around that time. But with like the bloodline and stuff, obviously you've trained hundreds of people. Most of them are women, right? In the spiritual world, that's we mostly see. I think it's naturally women feel it's something so natural for us to want to take care and nurture other people. Of course, I'm sure you have plenty of men that have chosen this path too. But I've noticed, that some people get chosen, like for either society or by guides, or they choose. And I think something that a lot of us kind of battles when we are about to make the decision to come into this world and to dedicate ourselves is, who am I? The imposter syndrome. And I think it takes a lot of wisdom and trusting in your gifts, right? But some people really truly feel like that bloodline, like they had to have inherited that in their lineage to be a quote-unquote healer, light worker, shaman, etc. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I see that both ways. It could happen both ways. I have seen people that carry the bloodline and do not follow it at all. I've seen sons of indigenous people that have that energy of healing, and their grandparents have done it, their parents. I mean, I'm talking about generations back, and they're not good healers. They don't embrace their gift. And I've seen people that they don't even know anything, and they fall in love with helping others, and they start studying and going deep and doing their work. And through their own experience, they get to learn techniques and help others. I see both. So what I feel in my heart is like, let's say for example, someone knows how to cook.
Yeah.
You know, we all need to know how to cook. There's some people that are going to be better, and there's some people that are going to study to be chef and make that a life path. So I will always tell people, is this really what you want to do? Is this really what you feel in your heart? Because there's many things that you could do, and you can study energy healing, and you can still help people, and you can still help your animals, the planet. But is this really what you want? It's like a calling, like any other calling. So it's a job on its own too. But if you do choose this life, what you need to do is embody it. You cannot teach it and not be it. Okay? So that's the only thing I feel you could inherit. You can learn it. The only thing is to embody it. It doesn't matter if you inherit or not, that you will be authentic, that you feel and you deliver what you say. And you learn in your own experience, that you're not trying it on your people. I think the most powerful things that you could do is like live it yourself, and then through your own experience being able to deliver it to others, knowing like, you know what, I was there and people really feel you, and not judging anyone. So that's why at the beginning I told you I've been en los peores huecos del mundo.
Yeah.
Y no me da pena decirlo, because that make me who.
That's your story.
That's my story. So I did inherit it, but I also learned it. I had a lot of teachers, good ones, and I still have teachers. And I pray that life continue always teaching me, because there's so much to learn.
Yeah, I think teachers, all of the best. And we'll go into like mentorship too in a little bit, but I want to piggyback off what you just said, because it even something clicked for me when it comes to that bloodline thing, which is we see a lot of people look at successful people, right? Now, the first thing that we think about when we say success is money, right? But if we look at like children who grew up with really wealthy parents, maybe, you know, they have a father who is in real estate, or a father who has a Fortune 500 company, and then that child decides to be in that same line of work or go and do something else that makes them even more successful. A lot of times we look at those people, what is it that they call them now? Nepo babies. Exactly. You know how they call them Nepo babies? Yeah. So we look at like Nepo babies, we're like, oh, that person only made it because of their parent. And it made me think of that too, because in the spiritual world, it's the same thing. How many great, incredible spiritual teachers have we seen where their children don't want to go on that route? Each person has their own route to go in. You know,
their own path. And Nati, I think starting on 2012, when actually the elders, the keepers of the wisdom, different traditions. In my case, it's in the indigenous cultures, many of them. That's when the elders opened up their doors of wisdom, because their kids didn't want it to follow the traditions. That's when they call the mestizos, or the mix, like myself, or the whites, or any other race, to learn. And they opened the doors of the jungles. It's not easy to get there. Or the medicines started traveling. Is because the elders that we had, they were old already, they were ready to cross, and they wanted to live that lineage. So they received the message of, okay, it's time to open the doors of the wisdom to whomever wants to learn. And if you see any elder, any person who's a saint or carries some kind of knowledge, they always say the knowledge is for everyone. This is done for everyone, and we want to leave a legacy for everyone who wants to partake from this wisdom.
Wow. I've never really seen it that way. I never realized that that's what happened, because obviously I understood that there's been a shift, and which is the reason why we've seen such a huge rise of entrepreneurs, coaches, leaders, healers, right? We're seeing so many people want to help so many people. And I almost feel like we've been praying for this. We've been praying for more people to help. And I feel like now we're seeing a lot of people complain now that there's too many of them. The concern of like, it's becoming mainstream. I remember.
Great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. It's like, this is exactly what we wanted. Of course, there's going to be people who land in the space, who realize it's not for them, but at least
let them try.
Let them try. Let them try. At least, I remember there was a time in my life where I started going to a Christian church. And
I've been there too.
Yeah. I mean, I still love
the music too.
I love worship,
Yes.
There's so many good things at any church that I go to. Not any church, but most churches I really see so much beauty in a lot of them. But I remember that around this time I started going to this church, and there was people complaining in the church saying that now that Jesus is cool, everybody wants to come. And I'm like, isn't this what we want?
Yeah.
This is exactly what we've been praying about. We want more people to rise up. We want more healers. You know what's interesting, Luz? I had something happen to me on New Year's of this year. I've spoken about it a few times, but on New Year's, I went with my boyfriend. He's a cinematographer, and he does a lot of like events and stuff like that. And so we went to an event. I went with my best friend, who you'll have to meet her one day. She's incredible. She's like us, right? And she's also similar sign like us. Okay,
mystery.
Mystery. What sign is it? And we went to this event, and I'm thinking, like, same thing. I used to be a raver girl. Like, I can deal with house music. Like, I don't drink, but I can still get down,
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how bad could it be? And when I went, Luz, like,
oh, no.
It's not like Miami. LA is very different. LA's environment is really intense. And I had a whole thing happen where I realized that I was seeing thousands of people in a trance, not in a good trance, in a trance, empty, right? It was like all the archetypes, were there. And me and my friend were so overwhelmed. Like, we didn't even know what to do. And I had this realization where I was like, I can't do this alone. There was a representation for me that this is the amount of people, like this and more, that need our services. Because obviously when I came into this world of, and I always talk about the new coworkers that I told you about. I tell Luz all this stuff, but I remember that people were saying that it was an oversaturated space. And I'm like, how could that be when there's so many people in pain?
Look, my friend, if there could be a bar in every corner, for me, I would love to see a yoga studio in every corner. And I mean, I know we have the problem with like people saying, cultural appropriation. I understand. I don't want to disrespect anyone. The same thing with the indigenous cultures too. But again, when you go and talk to an elder, someone that is wise, they always tell you, let them do what they gotta do. The ones that cannot sustain it will fall. But also, you know what happens is that people believe in competition and they get scared. And that's also a scarcity mindset. No, if I am doing this, if I'm teaching Reiki, then I don't want to teach it to someone to teach, because then it's going to take my students. I always tell my students, go teach, because we need Reiki teachers all over the place. In each house, we need a Reiki practitioner. And we are many in this world. So it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you and me, Nati, are doing the same work. Some people are going to be gravitating to your energy. Some people are going to be gravitating to mine. So in this world is resonance. There's no competition whatsoever. But we are brainwashed with other stuff, so we get to think like, oh my god, this overpopulation of this. But I love it. I love to see before, like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I will go in wherever city I would travel to, looking for the little spaces where they sell crystals, asking people, where's the yoga studio here? Where's the organic place to buy the food?
It was so like,
exactly.
I remember, you know,
I love it now. It's like you can go anywhere.
Before, I feel the same, like, when I remember when I was younger, that's why I love when in Reiki Master, that you talk about Archangel Metatron, because Archangel Metatron was who I encountered when I was looking for help.
I love it.
When I was like, I don't know who to go to. That's why I was always put my faith in the container of Catholicism, even though I've always been a really rebellious kid. O sea, nunca he sido una santa. But my mom can tell you too, I was always super rezandera. Since I was little, I was always with my saints. So I put my faith in this container of Catholicism. And then I remember when I was a teenager, I must have been like early 20s, actually. I wasn't a teen. I was early 20s when I was like, okay, I want to, because I was scared for a long time too.
A gift, of course. Yeah.
I was really scared. Obviously, when you're little and you're seeing things, it's not fun. It's not. It's really not. And so when I was early 20s, I was finally ready to kind of, okay, I have this gift that is always what's moved me. I want to reopen that, and I don't think that I can find that all in Catholicism because they're scared, you know? And so I remember asking God, I said, God, show me a sign. Show me a sign. Show me where I can go to. And I remember that night, I woke up in the middle of the night to a huge cube. Like an orb. Yeah, like in front of me. It was like in front of my head like that. And I remember I woke up and I can feel like my bala. Like I can feel like I was like, this is so beautiful. Like I was in shock. I didn't know what it was. I went the next day. I told my friend, I said, hey, come with me. Like I need to find out what that means. It was around that time where it's like there's probably a few crystal shops, tons of tarot,
always tarot.
And Pembroke Road and stuff like that. Was that like psychic? That's all I knew. That's all I knew as help. That was all the resources that I could find was to go to a psychic like that. And then of course crystal visions.
Yes, crystal visions.
Crystal visions. That was like the only other one. And I don't know how this happened, Luz, but I ended up in a church in West Palm Beach called the Church of Metaphysics.
Oh, it's like it's a non-denomination church.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I walked in and they were having a psychic fair.
Oh.
I didn't know anything. Again, I all I knew was Catholicism and I've always been very spiritual. My parents are very open-minded too. And I walked in and there was a bunch of light workers, a bunch of healers. And I sat down with someone and I explained to them what I had seen. And I put 2 and 2 and the colors, the watermelon colors that Metatron loves to work with, that green, that pink. And it was Metatron. And that's how I got introduced to it. And from that point forward, there were so many things, like so many resources. But I had to look.
Were they older than you? Because back in the day, I mean, I was the youngest person interested in all of those groups.
No,
like,
yo era
la bebé.
Yeah, no.
They're like, what are you doing here?
No, I didn't fit in at all. I mean, and then I had this big struggle of going back to work. And it's so crazy because we had a conversation the other day where I constantly, even still, having to prove myself that, like in the spiritual community, having to prove myself that I'm not just business. And then when my business,
that you're not,
that I'm not just a hippie, that I'm not like, I can never like
fit in.
I can never fit in. It's like, wow, where does this come from? So I love that, these resources are becoming available, which is what pushed me to start House of Vibration. Was like, I want a place that people who feel these gifts, really originally, it was to start a place. It was like I wanted to have a network. Because while I was still working in my corporate job, I didn't have any plans of leaving. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to leave. No, I just like, okay, let me create a network where I can help light workers and healers, because I realized that they didn't know how to value themselves. And so I wanted to help them in that area. And so I was like, I just want to create this network of healers and light workers that, you know, I can be the middleman. I'll negotiate for them, and not negotiate, but help them like value themselves, and then help people, young girls in the community that didn't know where to go to. They can come and, you know, assist and train themselves and find the resources. So, it's so interesting that, you know, like now it's like we're almost asking for that not to be available for people. Question for you. So, in a gist, what are your thoughts on like the spiritual hype? You know, like when you hear, and I'm sure you hear all your friends complain about it, what in a gist, in like a few words, what are your thoughts of that?
I love it. I really love it. We were waiting for these times. These times were prophesied. I love it that it is more available to everyone, that you're responsible for your spiritual, development too, that there's mentors that can teach others how to take care of themselves. Like back in the day, there's a priest that everybody goes to church. You pray there. I'm not saying that's not good or it doesn't work. It worked for some people, but then you go home and then you do your life and you're only spiritual when you're home. I love it that now you can embody that you can have a lifestyle like that. And yes, it's all over right now. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I rather see kids. And this is super controversial too, because we're talking about, for example, cacao ceremonies. They never existed really in the Mayan tradition, and now you see people saying, "Oh, cacao ceremonies, this and that," and the elders get mad because they're like, "Oh, we never had that, and these are medicine in another way." But how I see it is, I personally, with all the respect to the elders, is that I rather see a whole bunch of kids dancing and jumping around with cacao than seeing kids drunk and using drugs and being on the streets. I have children, I have grandchildren, and I much rather see them doing yoga, standing on their heads, whatever it is that they think is spiritual, even if it's not that profound, but that they are not in those other spaces. Yeah. And I believe that when you even start playing, the energy will take you there. Because then you start feeling more. There was a time where I asked one of my teachers, and I said, what do you think these crazy people sometimes, because I had the thoughts myself, for example, with sacred medicines. And I asked one of the elders, what do you think about those people that go and just grab the medicine and they start serving and all the responsibility? And he stayed quiet for a while. And then he said, you know what? If the medicine has an intelligence, and if they were not supposed to do that work, the medicine will never make it to them, and they will attract exactly the right people to them with the amount of energy they have cultivated. And for example, let me give you an example. Somebody that will never sit in a teepee ceremony with an elder from start to the end. It's almost 12 hours long. That's a full-on ceremony. There's people that are so way far from it that they have to start somewhere, my friend. So that's when these characters or estos personajes vienen that have the hat of being a bad person, but they're actually doing a favor. Yeah. They come, they serve the medicine, maybe not in the right content, maybe unresponsible, if you want to call it, but then these people receive this medicine and they have profound insights, and they want to search for more. Where is this coming from? Where did you learn? And then they slowly or shortly they start digging until they get to a real place of ceremony. But you cannot go from the club to the teepee. It can happen, you know what I mean? But there's sometimes steps in between, and these personajes are there to catch these people because they're way so far until they can get to a real thing. So I truly believe in the perfection of life and in the synchronicity, and that everything that comes to you or lives your life is in perfectly order.
Wow. So good. That alignment. It's so true. It's almost like, you know what I thought about? I thought those psychic shops. Like, and I look now and I'm like, oh, I can't believe that I would almost be like knocking, like, I need help. I don't know where to go to. And now it's like, we have so many teachers online and everything. Like, the last place that you would go to would be a sketchy little botanica in some random, place in Hialeah. Like, that's the last place now that people would go to for help. Now you just search online. You start looking for that. With that topic and knowing that there's so many places that people try to source energy from. Have you encountered maybe in a ceremony or maybe in a circle or maybe, within your own community, facilitators or just in general attendees like students that you might have found that they might be invoking from a source that you're not entirely comfortable with? And has that happened?
That I have participated or
that
I have
you've
seen?
Witnessed? Yeah,
I have witnessed many things. When people start entering in spirituality, sometimes they adopt things that they don't fully comprehend, or set up altars with deities that they don't really know or they don't have a connection with. And I have witnessed crazy things, like, for example, being in a traditional peyote ceremony with an elder and having someone in the circle setting their own altar and trying to set their own fire. And, because now people carry their own altars, their own stuff, and me having to go there and say, excuse me, but the only altar is the altar that the elder has. Can you put your crystals away? Things like that. Or, hey, that fire is a Hindu fire, and it doesn't go in this fire. The only fire is that one. Or people going to a traditional ceremony in bathing suit. I have seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. So, and painted like it's like some kind of a tribal drumming. But they don't know. They're children. They still were called to the medicine. They were still called to the circle. What do? You go there and, hey, sister, brother, can you put your shirt on? Here, let me let you borrow this shawl. I used to carry skirts in my trunk and shawls all the time. Yeah. Because people didn't even know how to assist to a ceremony, and I just would tell them, how do you go to church? Just like you go to church, just present yourself in a respectful way, no matter where you go. Do what that religion or that temple is asking for, and usually it's not bathing suit. So yeah, I seen it all. But I think it's lack of knowing. So you can educate people in a loving way. And
I think that's what being,
not rejecting them.
Not rejecting them. I think coming from a place from compassion, and I think those are decisions that you make when you decide to be on this journey that will require for you to have difficult conversations.
Very, very difficult ones.
Was there ever a time, going back on like your story, and so just to give people like a little bit of a insight, you had mentioned to me that you've had all different types of jobs and walked through different paths, and if you don't know, she worked with television too. I know it's like obvious that she worked in television too, but before you decided to be on this path and you made the decision, okay, I want to work with this, I want to help people in this way. Was there any moment in your journey where you were like, this might not be for me? And what routed you back?
What did I do? Yeah, kind of. My last job was property management. So I was managing complex. I think it was 280 homes. But my office already had crystals, holy blessed water, structured water. I was working with Masaru Emoto. I was already doing Reiki. But of course, I was in the middle. I remember my CEO saying, Luz, this is a property management office, not a psychic consultation place.
That was me. I can relate.
I'm like, can I wear feather earrings? And he's like, I don't know. But they still let me. So
shout out to them that they
shout out to them. I had a space where people will come and talk to me, and that's actually where I started doing my spiritual work. Yeah. And then my spiritual work started becoming more than my regular job, and that's when I decided, okay, I'm leaving. Everybody was telling me you're crazy. At that moment, I was hosting a lot of full moon ceremonies for men and women all over Key West, Los Angeles, everywhere, opening up, drumming and prayer. And they said, are you going to leave, one figure type of job for to go and do full moon ceremonies? Wow, please, don't do it. And it was a company where my dad retired, all my family worked. It's a very well-known company here in Miami, very well-known. And I said, yes, I don't know what is going to happen, but this call is bigger than me. And let me tell you, Nati, from that company now, there's a lot of Reiki students. A lot of the managers are now, at least 2 of them are Reiki students of mine. And also the CEO, if he hears this podcast, I don't know, he has come to do also energy healing with me. And, it was just the way it happened.
I love that because I feel that I think that, and this is something that I spoke to you about too, that I really find that a lot of people, when they decide, okay, I want to work in this line of work, I am now Reiki healer, and that's it. I am now yoga teacher, and that's it. I am now, it's like life will prepare you, and that's your portfolio, which is why I incorporated my business approach on life. It wasn't and the same thing happened to me, I started to do that work at that job. Same thing. I had my little corner. I had an office. And if they're watching, if you were ever in that little office, I had the crying room, they called it. Right? And then when we couldn't, they couldn't close a deal, I would make my own little, in a sense, oracle cards that were on a business approach, though. I tried to keep it very neutral and respect all religions and everything. But if, let's say, an employee left, I would clean it with salt.
For sure.
We would do our own little ceremonies there. And I think that, there's a lot of people who are watching, and I'm sure your students will watch this, and they might go to your class, and, they're like, my life has to look this way. And I think that's the beauty of having these conversations where people get to hear you and see that, oh, wow, she's not just this person who had this life where she was like, I am a healer.
Oh, no, I know. No, and it's very beautiful why you touched those labels. When they ask me, what are you? I dislike so much. I'm like, I'm a woman. I'm a mother.
I'm just a girl.
And at this moment, and all of these are just tools.
Yes.
Tools. The real spirituality goes inside of yourself, and these are tools that can help us. So maybe in some months or years of your life, you get to be a Reiki teacher, or you get to be a yoga teacher. But maybe yoga is not going to work for you in a year or two, but then you have aromatherapy, or maybe you can combine both. But the true healer is a good listener. That's the true healer. So becoming a true healer is becoming a very good listener, and from there, all your tools will appear. Because when you listen truly to another, you also listen to God. Because sometimes we pray, but we don't leave that space forgot to talk to us directly. And also it's a lot of trust. You got to trust the universe, but also do the action. So you know me, Nati, I not only teach Reiki, I do art, I love music, I sell crystals, I am a structure, I also have other ways of income. So that way you don't depend solely on your healing abilities to live your life, and you also can have other ways of generating income. In that way, when you do your work, you do it for love. Of course you deserve to be paid. Yes. Because this is a job that doesn't even have a price, my friend. There's no price. We can put a price on whatever healing modality or healing service, but there's no price for healing a wound, for example, or insomnia and anything, or whatever it is, sadness, there's no price for it. And so it's something that you have to know, that if you are saying, okay, I want to live of this is my profession, this is my job, taking it seriously too, be very impeccable with what you do, very congruent too, like I said before, embody it and live it so you can teach it. Me as a teacher, I can talk to someone and know if they're practicing or not, without taking a test, just by the energy. I always tell you guys in the classes too, like there's people that come and tell you, hi, my name is so-and-so and I'm a quantum healer and I do this and that. And they give you all the resume, and as you're shaking the hand or giving the hug, you're like, oh, wow, I don't feel no energy. Mm-hmm. And there's some people that are super humble, and they come and they're like, no, not really, I love energy. And you feel your body vibrates. And those are the real healers, the people that really practice and embody and listen.
How do you know when a student is ready?
When is there in the class, they're ready. Otherwise, life won't make them get there. I had students who have paid for the whole course, and I said, take your time. You don't need to rush. Things will come to you. But usually people, when they wake up, right away, they want all the tools. I want to be a Reiki master. I also want to be a shaman. I want to play the drum. Let me do Kundalini awakening. Let me do massage. I want to do Tai Chi. Yeah. And it's like almost like your nervous system enters in shock. You need to take one tool at a time, incorporate it, live it in your life, see if it works. Maybe Tai Chi is not your thing to teach, but it's your thing to do in the morning. Maybe Reiki is not your thing to teach, but it's what you give to your animals. Yes. So it's like feeling all of these tools before you even share them, with the world.
Yeah. I was having this conversation literally, Luz, yesterday on a coaching session. I have a student, and I think it's so beautiful when you see a gift in someone. I think as people who choose this route, most of us, what I have seen is that there's been someone in our life that has told us a similar message, which is, you can ignore this for as long as you want.
It will come back.
But it will come back. And that message is so, like, there might be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people who say that to you. And so I have a student that I see that. And I was meeting with her, and she's like, Nati, I'm searching. I'm searching. And I'm not having my aha moment. And I told her, I said, when you're searching, you become tense.
Yes.
And those aha moments aren't going to come in. The aha moment comes when you're soft. Right? Yes. When you're embodying. Yes. The information comes in, whether you're reading a book, listening to a podcast, right? You're in that flow state, and then you embody it. And when you embody it, that's when you get the opportunity to teach it.
Yes, exactly.
But it has to have reverence, like, it has to be here.
Yes, and you know, Anati, that the best teaching that you can teach anyone is your life well lived. You know what I mean? You can stand in front of a microphone and have it all here and speak it all beautifully, but people can feel it. Yeah. So when you walk your life, in a certain manner, again with congruency with what you think, what you speak, and what you do go in the same direction, people can feel it. Animals can feel it.
Yeah.
The world can feel it. There's a glow, and then you teach without teaching. You can sit next to someone in an airport and they observe your behavior with other people, how you carry yourself, and then you inspire them, and you are teaching them without teaching. And
Simply by embodying.
That's super beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that so many people in this space have such a struggle with money and valuing themselves?
There's many things, and it happened to me too. And I said, you said when going back to also the question that you asked me, that if I ever said, why did I do that? It came to a point where my finances they were going down the floor. I was living in this crazy apartment. My friend, I didn't even have a space to see people. I'm talking about, I was crafting pendants to sell in fairs just to pay my rent. After I was like making money, I'm like, why did I do this? And it was because, one, I wasn't valuing myself and the worth. And also because we grew up in a culture where we see the healers all poor, where the healers almost take this boat of poverty. And it comes from a beautiful place, like, okay, I want to help someone, but I don't want to charge them because, they're going through a hard time. And I understand that happened to me so many times, but it's like, you know what? It's an energy exchange. So if you don't receive that, then you're not going to be able to be good and sustain others, continue learning. And also, so for me, it had to be a balance where I'm like, okay, what I'm bringing is valuable. How much do I know? And I started charging what I was comfortable with, where I thought, okay, this is a good exchange. And then, of course, you can always accommodate. You can always see people for free too.
Yeah.
But I tell people this, okay, and this is a valuable thing. And it's like, you are not charging for the service. You are not charging for the energy healing. You are charging for your time. Because you could be doing anything in the world. Mm-hmm. You could be at the beach. You could be with your children. You could be with your family, but you're there one-on-one with your precious life and time, dedicating all that you have, all the knowledge that you have accomplished, and passing it on to them. So that has a value. That doesn't mean that you won't see somebody that doesn't have the money to pay for it, but that you use that discernment and when to help and when not. Because it happened to me many times where people took advantage of me, many times, where I'm like, come to the Reiki class for free, don't worry. They will leave the book. They will never follow through. Then I will see them leaving the class and shopping at the place where I was teaching the class when they told me, oh, I'm a single mom, I cannot pay for the class. I'm like, of course, just come. And then I see them shopping. I'm like, oh, what is this? So I learned to recognize really who are the ones that want to take advantage and who are the ones who really need it. Yeah. So my heart now knows. And I said, okay, we can. This is how much I charge. But if you cannot make it, we can do an exchange, It's
always an exchange. Always. Something that I've noticed with that struggle that I see with a lot of light workers is that value, especially in the beginning when they're forming, right? And we're living at a different time too. Something, and even to talk about like the elders receive protection in a different way too. Back in the day, I feel like it was a little bit different.
The tribe will support them.
And there was other forms of abundance, right? And now, right, I think that's something that I see tremendously with light workers who are recently making this decision to dedicate themselves into this space and to helping others, is that they feel like they need to pull from themselves. So I love that you say that what you're serving there is your time. Because easily you could go work at a coffee shop. But no, you decided to come onto this line of work. So there's no reason for you to feel like I'm pouring myself. Because then on top of that, they do a service and then they're depleted.
Yes.
And I'm like, there's an abundance of energy. I'm not using, it's not me. And no, of course, yeah, I'm seeing things. I have to keep my psyche in a really great space so that I can, be able to see things a little bit clearer. But you could do the same thing.
Yes.
I'm just simply using what's around me. But I'm never going to, I should have no reason to feel from this depleted place of like, oh man, I love it. What is, Luz, what is something that you think people might not consider when coming and learning from you? What is something that people don't see when I look at you first? Luz, la curandera, the light worker, the healer, la teacher. What is something that people kind of miss that you're like, they don't know about this about me?
You know what? I'm a word bridger. I'm a bridge. So people think they're coming to learn Reiki. I always tell them. And I'm like, you think you're here for a Reiki class? Or you think you're here for a woman's circle? You're not. I'm a bridge. And what I know, and I know this in the soul of my being, is that whomever comes to work with me and the team, that I always have a team too.
Yeah.
They come for a deeper reason. They come and they're going to meet someone else. And they're going to meet maybe my elders. They are going to end up in a sweat lodge. They maybe going to go into a vision quest. Maybe they're going to moon dance. Maybe, there's so much that they don't know, but they feel attracted, and we feel attracted to each other. I don't take everyone either. I do have the signing in my website, but there's people that never make it. Like
no,
I
but
said,
you call, yes, you, and you ask questions, and you like,
yeah, and I text people when they sign up. I'm like, hello, I'm gonna, and I try to see it. And sometimes if people text me or approach me, hey, how much for the class? I don't even respond. I also want to have that sweet
you're the
energy.
Sweetest. You're truly, literally the most sweetest. Like,
but I know that when people come to me, they're sent by spirit. Because I also had hardcore students that have like put me to the test where I'm like, wow, why am I here? But I always close my eyes and ask God, why is this person in my movie? Why have you sent this person to me? It's because I have something to gift this person, and this person has also a gift for me. Because God only sends us angels. So, and those difficult students, those difficult people, they have a treasure for you. They have a little diamond in the rough there. So, yeah, at the beginning, maybe you'll be like, oof, this person, but then just you look deeper. Because there's a gift in there for you.
And in your case, right, like there's a gift for not just the teacher for you, but there's a gift for all of the students, everyone in the collective.
Yes.
Oh man, that's so, I love it.
They change. Sometimes they come to a class and they come back and we don't even recognize them physically. So they think they're coming to a class, but they're coming to a total portal where they're going to change physically, mentally, and spiritual. Because, my friend, when you know, you know. And there's no way of not knowing. It's like taking the blue or the red pill. Like that.
I love it. I'm sure that you've gotten this. How do I frame this? When it comes to the word bruja. Ella hace brujería. I'm sure that you've...
Oh, yeah, I heard it many times.
Like, I heard it.
Oh, yes.
I think that that's something that you can definitely relate to because you're Colombian, like me. And I think, like you mentioned something about being mestizo, right? That's what most of us are, right? And it's like almost this, and you mentioned something to me also about your path and how you felt called to come back to Colombia and to go back to the root, right? And in that process of you doing that, I'm sure when you decided to be on this path, was there anyone in your life that was like, oh, so brujeria, or that's dark magic, or is that witchcraft?
They not so much. They were just scared because they said that was like a path for a man. You know, because I was traveling into the Amazon jungle, because I was doing things that men, quote unquote, would do. They knew it because in my family, they all knew me since little, that I had that gift. So they were happy for me that I was embracing it. They were a little scared more in the part of how people were going to judge me and like receive me. And in the I would say where I have had the most problems with is in my love life. And it's because of that, because usually the family of my beloved will think that I'm doing some kind of ritual to have this person fall in love with me or stuff like that. So that's like the most opposition that I have encountered. But my family, they call me, what should we do on full moon? What herbal bath should I do? And they all have come also with me with the elders. They have do it, a few ceremonies. My mom is Reiki 1.
Really?
That was the best day of my life when I got to attune my mom. I want to cry when I'm thinking about it.
Wow, that's such an I feel the same way too. How did you handle like when in Rome? It's crazy because one of my teachers too, she told me in the beginning too. She said, Natalie, something that I say in the beginning of my relationships is that this is my path, and like it's really important for you to be with someone who is gonna respect that and accept you. And I remember early on in my like when I decided to do this part of my life, I talked to my partner. I said, do you think that are you gonna be okay? I know that you know who I am and you love me, but are you okay with others questioning me?
Yeah.
Because I don't care. My mom and my dad accept me. I've always said, if my mom accepts me, I don't care what anybody thinks. My mom knows my heart. My mom knows my intention. So I don't care. But I think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
How did you handle that in terms of like your relationship and, maybe their family's not understanding?
Coming out of the spiritual closet.
Coming out of the spiritual closet. Oh my gosh, I love that.
I had a story.
I swear that's it.
I have a story to share because you remind me. Yes, I did have a very hardcore incident. I was renting an apartment with my mother, and I felt like some scratches in the walls. I clean homes too,
Yes.
about the energies. So I felt that at night, the apartment wasn't ours. And I'm like, Mama, there's something in this house. She said, come on. I started dreaming about a woman in there, like probably from the 50s, like very
white,
very
like
white, her haircut.
polvo.
Yeah. And then the wall started getting humid and like water running through the thing. I couldn't sleep. And I called the owner and I said, listen, I want to break that wall because I know there's something in there. He was a Christian of the faith, very, very nice. Colombian too. We knew him for years. And he walked into my room. He saw my altar. He got super uncomfortable. And I said, look, it's wet and I've been hearing noises. We broke the wall and we found un entierro. ¿Tú sabes lo que es un entierro? Sí, encontramos como like a little bag. It was a plastic bag and it had naked pictures of this woman that I was dreaming with some piece of her hair. And then she came to me in a dream telling me that she married a very old, much older husband, and then he used to take pictures of her like that and she didn't like it. And and I think before she died or something, or after she died, he kept that and like he hid that and like she needed that to be released. So when the guy saw that happened, guess what's nothing? Our apartment, we needed to leave the apartment within a week. And it wasn't my fault. I just found it and he saw it. He got so scared that he said, you need to leave this place. And I love the guy. Then I saw him at Sedanos and I'm like, hello, don't blah, blah. And he was like running. I'm like, don't, hello. And he wouldn't even talk to me. Then I dreamt of his house being on fire. And I wrote to his wife to say, be careful. I dreamed about, and their house caught on fire, my friend. And all his animals, it was terrible. So then on top of that, he just sent me a letter saying that they were praying for me at church, that all of that. I'm like, I tried to tell you. So that was a strong story that I wanted to share with you, but that was intense. So this gift sometimes comes with
a cost.
With the big cost, yeah. And as partners, I love that your partner, accepts every partner that I have. That's the first thing I tell them. And if I'm in a relationship and I'm doing a ritual or I'm doing something, I always let my partner know, look, I'm doing this. So I'm super transparent, even if the ritual involves both of us. I say, here, I'm doing a ritual for our love to be more passionate, or, hey, I'm doing a ritual so we can generate abundance. Look, and I show.
And be a part of it.
Yes. And I think that good and dense energy, you can feel it. You can just look at an altar or a sacred space, and just by seeing it, you could feel the vibration.
Yeah. I think there's it almost feels so familiar, right? And I think that's where our lineage is just so, if you listen closely, I love that you mentioned the thing about the listening and the crown and the information, and because that's like the key thing when you're a leader. I think where we see the corruption in people is when they stop like listening. I think entrepreneurs, business owners, we tend to be hard-headed because of that reason, right? Because we're leading, and we forget that we're students, right? But back to that story, that's really crazy because I didn't realize that being in this space was going to, and you'll see it, like people are weird with you.
Oh yeah.
You know, like people that were in your life always, and then they just send you that text, well, I'm praying for you. I'm like, me too. I'm praying for us.
I will pray for me. I really do love it. That's very.
That story's so crazy.
I know.
I love it.
I love it too, because after I left that apartment, everything just started blossoming. So I love that. And you know what? It left me thinking something that you said about. We're running out of time. About spirituality, and I want to go back to that thread. So you could be spiritual and still have a business. You cannot just be spiritual and that's your business. You could put a spirituality in everything. You could cut hair and be a spiritual hair cutter. Okay, and like maybe do a ritual with the hair that your clients leave and offer them to give it back to Mother Earth. If you use everything organic. Okay, you're a chef. You can be a chef with a spirituality. Pray over your food. You don't have to quit your job to become spiritual. Okay, or you can merge both. I love jewelry, for example, and I sell jewelry. That makes me not a spiritual? No, I sell jewelry that I love. I love clothing too, and fashion. So it's like, do not just leave everything, take your shoes off and just let your hair grow and like, I want to be a second Jesus walking on this earth. You can embrace it. Oh, this is the beautiful thing about these times, that you can be that and spiritual. Spirituality is not a hat that you put on. It's not a thing that you do at night or pray or when you're in hard times. It's something that you are. We are spiritual beings.
We're all spiritual beings.
We are here to remember that and to be a good human. To be here
to serve, to work from a heart-centered place. I want to piggyback off of that story, because I really am stuck on that story. Like, did you guys like that story? Spooky. I love spooky stories.
That story was continuing. Yeah.
I love it. I'll tell you some more spooky stories later. But how do you, because, okay, understandable, right? For me and you, right? For people watching, people in our community, obviously we know that we don't work with
magia negra o eso así.
Black magic, right? Obviously, someone who has never, in my opinion, it's because of fear, afraid to come out of the Catholicism, afraid to come out of Christianity, afraid to come out of the religion. Understandable. For people who are watching, right, who are listening to us right now, and they're like, man, so what is it, right? How would you be able to tell what is dark magic and what is simply just the magic of living?
Ooh, I would say the way it feels in your heart and in your body. Energy is something very tangible. People think it's something abstract, but it's something that you feel. I know that whomever is watching have walk in a supermarket and see themselves face and face with someone and feel good with a smile, or feel like, wow, this person has super strong energy. Same thing, I would say, if you're looking for a healer, if you're looking for a guide, please feel them in your heart, look at them, vibrate them, and see for yourself, feel it for yourself. You will know. My Reiki teacher, Morena Fabiach, the one that brought Reiki to South Florida 35 years ago, we were talking about crystal vision. She has something very beautiful that she says, and is that the ego shouts and the higher self whispers. So like when it's too much show, when it's too loud, that's probably not it. When it's humble, when it's beautiful, when it brings you peace, go there.
You could feel it.
You could feel it.
It's from that centered place, which is what we were talking about in the beginning, like from that grounded place. I think as humans, the most beautiful thing that we can do, like our natural thing to do, is to work from a place of compassion, from a grounded place, right? And everything that we build has to come from that. I love that you talked about your mentor, as I was going to ask you about mentors. I always tell my students or people who write to me, people who I meet, about inspiration, right? Like they're like, who do I go to? Who would I search for? I'm searching. That searching thing. And oftentimes we are either afraid to be inspired by someone. Like we don't like, oh, I don't want to be inspired by someone, or completely surrendering to a mentor or to a teacher, right? It's like people have this really hard time navigating either all in or nothing, and not understanding that we're all almost teaching each other. You've had many mentors, obviously. I always tell my students, ask your mentors who are their mentors.
Exactly.
Who was
Where
your
they
mentor?
coming from?
Who was your mentor?
I had many mentors. Myrna Fabiach was one of them, my Reiki teacher. I love her. She transcended a few years ago. I also had many indigenous people. I started here, actually, in the United States, and then I went back to Colombia. One of my teachers in shamanism is El Taita Flores. I love his last name, Flores. Yeah. Oh my goodness. He was the first one that actually wanted to teach me in what you can call it shamanism. I don't want to call it like that because that term doesn't even exist in here. But it's so you get an idea of, the work that I do, which is like the ceremonial part, the plant medicines, working with the elements is one of a mentor too. I also worked a lot with Alfonso Castillo, who's still alive. He's Colombian. He's a beautiful elder that lives in Michigan. I right now don't talk to him, but there's a lot of people that we're still in connected with. Like, we outgrow our teachers too. We pay them their respect. And the other day, one of my students, Maria, went to see him, and I said, "Here, take that tobacco to him. Tell him that Luz says hello." And I said, "Girl, you're gonna go to the real deal. Yes. This is a great mentor. This is a great vision quest. You are safe. Go." So you outgrow your teachers, but I have many, and what you said is so important. You shouldn't surrender completely, like, oh, this person is God, because they're humans. What you do is you approach them with respect, you take what serves you, and what doesn't resonate with you, you put it to the side. I tell my students, okay, don't believe everything I say.
Yeah.
I always start with the class like that. I'm like, one thing I'm going to ask you, empty your mind. Whatever you think you knew, just be empty. Receive what I'm going to give you, go home, and then sort it out and see what resonates. Because what resonates with me maybe not resonate with you. And sometimes they call me, oh, teacher, maestra. I'm like, no, man, I'm still learning. Yeah. I also had the opportunity to work with Masaru Emoto, which is, wow, what a teacher, a few times. But for me, him was like the putting in words and in experiments what I was learning with the indigenous about the water, for example. And I have physical mentors, and I have mentors that I have that they don't even know they're my mentors, that I observed their lives, I read their books, and I still I'm still inspired every day, but younger people, older people, doesn't matter. And then there's a point where, that connection fades, and then, and then you get inspired by someone else, and I believe we never stop learning. The day that you think that you know it all, my friend, that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have a space to continue growing. The universe is an expansive universe, and it loves to experience itself through you.
I think that's what makes so beautifully said. I could talk to you literally for hours, but I love that you said that if you would see like my list of questions, I literally was going to ask you, like, how do you know when you've outgrown your teacher? And I think the biggest thing is that when there will be a time in your life where you outgrow your teachers, your favorite teachers.
Yes.
And the number one thing is that respect. But when you're looking for teachers, I always tell people, if you're looking for a new coach, for a new guide, look at the way that they are, how they operate with their families, how they are as husbands, as wives, how their home feels like to you. How do they make you feel? When you're going to an event, oftentimes we go to events here, especially in Miami. We go to a wellness spiritual event, and you go and you've been seeing this person online, and when you go and you see them, you're no one. They don't make anybody feel seen. You feel that emptiness. It's like, okay, it's not their fault. Maybe their job is that they're really good at logistics. Maybe they're not necessarily the mentor, the guide, the coach. They're just really great at putting an event together.
Yes, and making it look pretty.
And making it look pretty, right?
I like
and that's okay. I like aesthetics. The aesthetics is amazing. And I think that a lot of us are getting confused with our roles. We think that we all have to be now the teacher. We think that I always tell people too, I say, if you find someone that their message resonates with you, it is okay to join that community and for you to empower it while you continue to build yourself. People are like, I don't want to be a follower. We are all following each other.
Yeah.
I am following.
No one is authentic completely.
No one's authentic completely. We're all modeling each other. I see this all the time when people are like, that person's copying me.
What?
I'm like, probably. Okay. But isn't that what you wanted? You said that you wanted to be admired. So now that you're being admired, right? Where that's what you asked for, and you're getting what you wanted. Of course, it sucks, right? Not giving respects. We were talking about the other day, how it really it's unbelievable. Really se pasan. Some people se pasan, de verdad. Like, at least change the name.
Oye, por favor, tampoco.
Okay, at least change the name. At least get that when you take them to an event and they're like, hey, can you connect me to the venue? I want to do the event here, like, and do everything the same and wear the same hat as you and wear the obviously,
I had that happen too.
In our line of work, yes, we typically kind of obviously the people in your space, they're gonna dress similar because we like the same things. But add a little bit of authenticity to you.
Yes. You can learn, but you have to always be authentic. I have people going to the retreat and replicate it the same, and even calling the contacts. And my elders would be like, "Oh my God, this lady just literally reached out to me." And I'm like, "Okay, if you want to work with them."
How do you handle that?
I just let it be.
You do?
Yeah,
do you confront ever?
Let it be. Yeah, I don't. That's they want to do. That they don't prefer to find their own medicine. Because I'm there. They can call me. I can always guide. That's a good thing of having a living mentor, because we have different mentors, but that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, I've been in your ceremonies and everything. And many of my students do that. And now my family is asking, for example, someone transcended, and my family is asking me to do something because they're not religious. Of course, I'm going to tell them how to do it. But I always tell them, not everything, step by step. I said, okay, there's an opening, permission, there's a prayer, there's a closing, and then you do whatever you feel in the middle. And they're like, oh my God.
You're like, whatever I feel, that's too much.
Yes, it's like whatever the space is asking for.
Yeah.
The only things is that you gotta open, you gotta close, and there's, this kind of things in these little sprinkles in between, then you do your own thing, because everybody has their own medicine. Maybe you sing, maybe somebody else likes to pray, maybe I just create beautiful mandalas. Everybody has just different gifts.
Would you say though that there is rules though?
No rules. I would say steps. Key steps is like in cooking. You can, to have a good mixture, a good soup, there's key ingredients for something to come out beautiful and good, and so no leakage energy of other source will come. That's the problem. People sometimes don't follow calendars. They don't know what type of moon they're in. They don't know who they are invoking, and they don't know how to create an altar, and it sounds so innocent, but yes, you could be calling energies or things or entities that are, like when back in the day when kids used to play with the Ouija board. That's super dangerous if you don't know what to do. Same thing in the ceremonial world. I have people that call me and tell me, oh, I went to a sound healing and I came back super sick, because I said, okay, did you protect yourself? Did you cleanse the space? Did you open and close? Where's it? This is closed, even if it's between you and your coworker. No, okay, then you left the space open and you're feeling everyone else, because you are saying that you're holding space, meaning that you become a container for everyone to be able to release. So you have to be strong. You got to be able to invoke, call whomever you truly know you have a relationship with, not calling deities that you don't even know, and then being able to give thanks and close, open, invoke,
close,
healing, close.
Thank you, close.
Go home, leave that behind. Same
Cleanse.
thing if you're cooking. If you mix some of the ingredients, your soup might be burnt.
There's some do's and don'ts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you are you guys liking this? Because if you are, I think we need to do something for space holders.
Yes.
People who hold space.
Yes.
So I think me and Luz are going to do something for our space holders. I mean, this could be doctors, psychologists, yoga studio owners, light workers, people who hold space. Yes. It's not that there's rules. There's no rules. It's not that. There's steps. There's some energetic steps that have to take place. I love it.
The universe has order. Everything has an order. So when things are in order, they flow. And energy follows patterns too. So there's certain patterns, and there's certain formulas that the elders have had in place for eons that work. So we stick to those simple formulas, and there's no way of doing something wrong.
Luz, thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor to be sitting here across from you on this journey. You've been along for a very important part of it. And this is the first of many. And with that, I want to end this off with, if anybody enjoyed this podcast, if you're loving this, you are hearing this first. Me and Luz and another incredible teacher are going to be putting a retreat together for those of you guys who want to learn more about this. On December 13th until the 18th, we're going to be visiting this power place that Luz feels super called to, and I feel super called to, Guatemala.
Guatemala.